December 17, 1939. Kala Sector, Finnish-Soviet border. Soviet reconnaissance patrol, 12 men strong, moved through snow-laden forests searching for Finnish defensive positions. These were experienced troops who'd conquered half of Europe through sheer numbers. They weren't worried about a small Nordic country with an army smaller than a single Soviet division. Then, Private Dmitry Volkov's head exploded. No sound, no muzzle flash, just instant death in the frozen silence. Before his comrades could react, another soldier dropped, a bullet through his chest. Then another, and another. Within 90 seconds, 11 men lay dead in the snow. The 12th man ran screaming about the White Death. He never made it back to Soviet lines. The shooter was Simo Häyhä, a 5 feet 3 inches Finnish farmer using iron sights and a bolt-action rifle in -40 degrees Celsius temperatures. Over the next 100 days, he would kill 505 Soviet soldiers with confirmed kills, becoming the deadliest sniper in military history. The Soviets would dedicate entire artillery strikes, counter-sniper teams, and bomber runs to eliminate one man. They would fail. Before we reveal how a farmer became the most feared soldier in Soviet military history, smash that subscribe button. Like and comment if hunting 505 enemies in 100 days sounds impossible. This channel reveals warriors who redefined combat itself. Now let me show you why an entire Soviet army feared one Finnish farmer with a rifle. Simo Häyhä was born December 17, 1905, in Rotjärvi municipality, near the Soviet border in southeastern Finland. His father, Juho Häyhä, owned a small farm where the family grew potatoes, raised livestock, and hunted to supplement their income. This wasn't gentleman's hunting for sport. This was survival hunting in one of Europe's harshest climates where winter temperatures dropped to -45 degrees Celsius and snow accumulated 6 feet deep. Young Simo learned to shoot at age 7 using his father's bolt-action rifle, initially targeting pine cones and wood blocks. By age 10, he was hunting rabbits, foxes, and occasional deer to provide meat for the family. Finnish winters forced hunters to develop extraordinary skills. Animals were scarce, camouflaged against snow, and alert to any sound. A hunter might wait hours in freezing conditions for a single shot opportunity. Miss and your family went hungry that week. Häyhä discovered he possessed unusual talent. While other hunters in Rotjärvi might bag 5 rabbits per winter, young Simo regularly brought home 20 or 30. His secret wasn't superior equipment or favorable locations. It was patience, fieldcraft, and an almost supernatural ability to remain motionless for hours regardless of cold, discomfort, or boredom. He would later describe hunting as meditation, a state where physical discomfort disappeared and only the target mattered. By age 15, Häyhä was winning local shooting competitions using iron sights while competitors used telescopic optics. Finnish shooting culture emphasized practical accuracy over equipment advantages. Competitions simulated hunting conditions. Cold weather, irregular shooting positions, targets at varying distances, time pressure. Häyhä excelled at all of it, developing techniques that seemed almost superhuman to observers. He never aimed in the conventional sense. Instead, he pointed his rifle like an extension of his own arm, acquiring targets through instinct rather than conscious sight alignment. This technique, called instinctive shooting, allowed him to fire accurately within 2 seconds of target acquisition. Most snipers required 5 to 8 seconds for the same shot. In combat, that 6-second difference meant life or death. In 1925, Häyhä completed mandatory Finnish military service with the Bicycle Battalion, a rapid response unit designed for reconnaissance and raiding operations. Finnish military doctrine recognized that in any war with the Soviet Union, Finland would be massively outnumbered. Victory would require mobility, marksmanship, and exploiting terrain advantages. Bicycle troops embodied this philosophy. Small units moving quickly through forests, striking Soviet supply lines, then vanishing before enemy forces could respond. Häyhä's military instructors immediately recognized his shooting ability. During qualification exercises, he scored perfect marks at 150, 300, and 450 meters using standard-issue Mosin-Nagant rifles with iron sights. His service record noted exceptional marksmanship, and recommended him for specialized sniper training. However, peacetime Finnish military had no formal sniper program. Häyhä completed his service, returned to farming, and continued hunting. For the next 14 years, Häyhä lived quietly in Rotjärvi, farming in summer, hunting in winter, and competing in shooting competitions. He joined the White Guard, Finland's volunteer militia, where he trained regularly and maintained combat readiness. By 1939, as tensions with the Soviet Union escalated, Häyhä was 34 years old, stood 5 feet 3 inches tall, weighed approximately 150 pounds, and could shoot better than virtually anyone in Finland. On November 30, 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Finland with 450,000 troops, 2,000 tanks, and 1,000 aircraft. Finland mobilized 180,000 soldiers with almost no tanks, minimal artillery, and 114 aircraft. Military analysts worldwide predicted Soviet victory within weeks. The Soviets expected to reach Helsinki within 2 weeks and force Finnish surrender by Christmas. Instead, they encountered something they hadn't anticipated. Finns fighting for their homeland in terrain and conditions they knew intimately. The Winter War had begun, and Simo Häyhä was about to become a legend. Häyhä reported to his unit, JR 34, Infantry Regiment 34, assigned to defend the Kala sector along the Soviet-Finnish border. This wasn't prestigious assignment. Kala was frozen forest and swampland considered strategically unimportant. Finnish High Command expected Soviet forces to bypass it entirely, focusing on better roads and more accessible terrain. But Soviet commanders, following rigid doctrine, attacked everywhere simultaneously. They believed overwhelming force across broad frontages would collapse Finnish defenses regardless of terrain. They were catastrophically wrong. The Kala sector became a killing ground. Soviet forces attacked in massive formations, battalion-strength assaults against Finnish positions held by company-sized units. They advanced in columns along narrow forest roads, unable to deploy effectively in dense timber and deep snow. Finnish defenders, outnumbered 10 to 1, used terrain advantages and superior marksmanship to inflict horrific casualties. Häyhä was assigned as designated marksman for his platoon, tasked with eliminating enemy officers, machine gunners, and other high-value targets. He used a Finnish-modified Mosinagin M/28-30 rifle, popularly called Pistikorva, Spitz. This wasn't special sniper equipment. It was standard infantry rifle issued to all Finnish soldiers. The only modification Häyhä made was removing the front sight hood to improve target acquisition speed. Most snipers in World War II used telescopic sights for long-range precision. Häyhä exclusively used iron sights, refusing scopes even when offered. His reasoning was brutally practical. In -40 degrees Celsius temperatures, telescopic lenses fogged instantly from breath vapor, becoming useless. Scopes reflected sunlight, revealing sniper positions to enemy observers. Scopes raised the rifle's profile, requiring snipers to expose more of their bodies when shooting. And scopes required the shooter's eye to be positioned exactly behind the lens, slowing target acquisition. Iron sights had none of these disadvantages. They never fogged, never reflected light, kept the rifle low profile, and allowed faster shooting. For Häyhä's close-range ambush tactics, most shots between 150 to 400 meters, iron sights provided all the precision necessary while offering critical speed advantages. His hunting experience proved invaluable for tactical planning. Häyhä understood how animals behaved in forest environments, which routes they traveled, where they felt safe when they were most vulnerable. Soviet soldiers, moving through unfamiliar terrain in extreme cold, behaved remarkably like game animals. They followed obvious paths, sought obvious cover, and developed predictable routines. Häyhä positioned himself along Soviet approach routes. Hidden in snow-covered positions, he'd prepared hours before enemy patrols arrived. His camouflage was simple but effective. White winter coveralls, white cloth wrapped around his rifle, and snow piled around his position to break up his outline. He remained motionless for hours, sometimes 6 or 8 hours, waiting for targets. Soviet patrols walking through what they believed was empty forest would suddenly suffer casualties as Häyhä fired, worked his bolt action, acquired a new target, and fired again. His fastest documented sequence was 16 shots in 63 seconds, killing 16 Soviet soldiers before survivors could identify his position or return effective fire. The key to Häyhä's effectiveness wasn't just marksmanship. It was fieldcraft, the ability to predict enemy movement, choose perfect firing positions, remain undetected, and extract safely after engagement. After each shooting sequence, Häyhä would retreat through pre-planned routes, relocate to alternate positions, and prepare for the next ambush. Soviet forces searching for him found only empty snow and dead comrades. Within 2 weeks of combat, Häyhä had killed over 40 Soviet soldiers. His company commander began tracking his confirmed kills, requiring witnesses to verify each claim. This wasn't glory-seeking. It was tactical intelligence. Finnish officers needed to understand which defensive tactics worked against overwhelming Soviet numbers. By January 1940, Soviet forces had identified Häyhä as a significant threat. Captured Soviet documents and prisoner interrogations revealed that Soviet commanders were ordering their troops to avoid specific sectors where the White Death operated. Soviet soldiers called him Belaya Smert, White Death, because victims died in snow-covered forests without ever seeing their killer. The Soviets attempted multiple countermeasures. They deployed their own snipers to hunt Häyhä, positioning experienced marksmen in concealed positions along suspected approach routes. Häyhä killed them. He recognized counter-sniper behavior, patient waiting, minimal movement, professional discipline, and adjusted his tactics accordingly. Instead of engaging from static positions, he used mobile ambush techniques, firing 2 or 3 shots, then immediately relocating before counter-snipers could triangulate his position. Soviet artillery received orders to bombard grid squares where Häyhä had been active, saturating entire forest sections with high explosive shells. These bombardments killed trees and disturbed snow but rarely threatened Häyhä, who had already withdrawn to positions hundreds of meters away. He learned to predict artillery patterns, identifying which areas Soviet gunners would target and avoiding them preemptively. Soviet forces tried night attacks, reasoning that Finnish snipers would be ineffective in darkness. They were partially correct. Häyhä couldn't see targets at night, but he didn't need to. He positioned himself along approach routes and listened. Soviet troops moving through frozen forests created noise. Equipment rattling, branches breaking, whispered commands. Häyhä would fire at sounds, using muzzle flash from Soviet weapons as aiming points. His accuracy dropped significantly at night, but he still inflicted casualties, further demoralizing attackers who realized they weren't safe even in darkness. By late January, Häyhä's confirmed kills exceeded 200. Finnish military command assigned him dedicated spotter, another soldier whose sole job was confirming Häyhä's kills and providing tactical intelligence. This wasn't honor or recognition. It was practical necessity. Häyhä had become strategically valuable asset, and Finnish command needed accurate records of his effectiveness. The spotter, whose name was never publicly recorded, accompanied Häyhä on missions, positioning himself 20 to 30 meters away with binoculars. After each shot, the spotter would observe the target area, confirm the kill, and log it in official records. This documentation later proved crucial for historians verifying Häyhä's kill count, which many initially dismissed as propaganda. Soviet frustration with Häyhä reached absurd levels. They offered rewards for his capture or death. First 1,000 rubles, then 5,000, eventually an unspecified fortune, and guaranteed safe passage out of Soviet territory for anyone who killed him. Soviet political officers threatened their own troops with execution for cowardice if they refused to patrol sectors where Häyhä operated. On February 17, 1940, Soviet forces launched massive offensive along the entire Karelian Isthmus, concentrating overwhelming force to break Finnish defensive lines through sheer weight of numbers. The Kala sector, previously considered secondary objective, suddenly became critical. If Soviet forces broke through Kala, they could flank Finnish positions further south, potentially collapsing the entire defensive line. Soviet 168th Rifle Division, approximately 18,000 troops, attacked Finnish positions at Kala held by 4,000 defenders. The mathematics were brutal. Finnish soldiers were outnumbered 4.5 to 1, with almost no artillery support, minimal ammunition reserves, and no possibility of reinforcement. Military doctrine stated that defenders needed 3:1 numerical advantage to hold against attackers. The Finns had the inverse ratio. They held anyway. Finnish soldiers, fighting in prepared positions with intimate terrain knowledge and superior marksmanship, inflicted catastrophic casualties on Soviet attackers. Machine gun teams positioned at natural choke points created killing zones where Soviet columns couldn't advance or retreat. Ski troops struck Soviet flanks, destroying supply convoys and creating panic in rear areas. And snipers like Häyhä systematically eliminated Soviet officers and NCOs, decapitating enemy command structures. Häyhä's role evolved during the February offensive. Instead of hunting individual targets opportunistically, he received specific assignments. Kill the battalion commander coordinating attacks on Hill 54, eliminate the machine gun team suppressing Finnish position B7, neutralize the Soviet observer directing artillery fire. These weren't simple shooting tasks. They required reconnaissance, movement through active combat zones, precision shooting under time pressure, and safe extraction through areas crawling with enemy troops. On February 21st, Häyhä executed perhaps his most audacious mission. Soviet forces had positioned artillery observer in Church Bell Tower in occupied village 800 meters behind front lines. The observer was directing devastating accurate artillery fire onto Finnish positions, making movement during daylight impossible. Finnish command needed the observer eliminated but had no artillery to destroy the tower and no way to assault it through Soviet-held territory. They sent Häyhä. He infiltrated through Soviet lines at night, moving 3 kilometers through enemy-controlled territory, positioned himself in collapsed barn foundation 380 meters from the church, and waited for dawn. When the Soviet observer appeared in the bell tower at first light, Häyhä shot him through the chest. The observer fell backward into the tower, and Soviet artillery fire became immediately erratic as forward observation ceased. Häyhä extracted through the same route he'd used for infiltration, moving through Soviet territory in broad daylight by staying in drainage ditches and tree lines. He returned to Finnish positions 8 hours after departing, having traveled 6 kilometers through enemy territory, executed a precision shot, and evaded thousands of Soviet soldiers searching for him. March 6, 1940, 11:30 a.m. Häyhä was positioned in snow trench on the Kala front, engaging Soviet troops attacking Finnish positions. He had already killed 4 soldiers that morning, maintaining his steady pace of 5 to 8 confirmed kills per day. The Winter War was entering its final phase, with both sides exhausted in Finland, preparing for inevitable peace negotiations. Then an explosive bullet struck Häyhä's face. Soviet sniper or machine gunner, witnesses never determined which, hit him with specialized round designed to explode on impact. The bullet entered his lower left jaw, exited through his right cheek, and destroyed most of his lower face. The impact threw him backward into the snow trench, unconscious and bleeding massively. Finnish soldiers who reached him moments later thought he was dead. His jaw was shattered, teeth blown out, lower face essentially destroyed. But he was breathing, somehow still alive. They evacuated him under fire to Field Hospital, where doctors examined him with disbelief. No one survived facial wounds this severe, especially in field hospitals with limited surgical capabilities. Häyhä survived. He remained comatose for 1 week, regained consciousness on March 13th, the same day the Winter War ended with the Moscow Peace Treaty. When he finally woke, the war he'd fought so effectively had ended. Finland had lost 11% of its territory but maintained independence. The Soviet Union, after 105 days of combat, had suffered approximately 126,875 dead and 188,671 wounded, while conquering small portion of Finnish territory. Häyhä's final confirmed kill count: 505 with rifle, approximately 200 more with submachine gun during close combat situations, total 705 enemy soldiers killed in 98 days of active combat. This made him the deadliest sniper in military history, a record that stands unbroken 85 years later. He underwent multiple reconstructive surgeries over the following years, regaining basic facial function but remaining permanently disfigured. His jaw never fully healed, affecting his speech and eating for the remainder of his life. The Finnish military promoted him from corporal to second lieutenant, a battlefield commission recognizing his extraordinary service post-war. Häyhä returned to farming in Rotjärvi. He avoided publicity, gave few interviews, and lived quietly. When journalists asked how he became the deadliest sniper in history, he responded simply, "Practice." When asked if he regretted killing 505 men, he said he did what his country required and felt no need to discuss it further. He lived to age 96, dying peacefully on April 1, 2002. Modern military snipers study his techniques, fieldcraft, iron sight accuracy, mobile positioning, psychological warfare through fear. His rifle and personal effects are displayed in Finnish military museums. And his legacy remains, proof that individual excellence, tactical innovation, and absolute determination can influence wars regardless of overwhelming enemy advantages. Simo Häyhä killed 505 Soviet soldiers in 100 days using iron sights in -40°C temperatures. He survived dedicated counter-sniper teams, artillery bombardments, and eventually a shot to the face that should have killed him. He never used a scope, never sought glory, and never questioned why he fought. The Soviets called him the White Death. History calls him the greatest sniper who ever lived.